Hello and welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to be mixing some drums in my brand new studio. I'm going to be trying out all sorts of gear I haven't used before. I'm going to be using my Softube faders and the Console 1 controller, as well as the drum desk of my console, which is the first Big 6. That's where I put my drums out to. I'm going to be using the SSL EQs, my new Harrison EQs, the B-Dynamics, the E-Dynamics, the WesAudio Dione, however it's pronounced. Please someone tell me in the comments, because I really don't know how that's pronounced, but I'm going to be using that on the drums. This UV-EQ here as well. Let's see what happens. It's a song that I have mixed previously. I've just pulled the drums up for it. They sound great, really well recorded drums, really well played by Jan Jensen. Fantastic session overall. You can download the multitrack. The link is in the description. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the session. We've got a bass drum inside, we've got a bass drum outside, which I have grouped in the DAW to a single group of just bass drums. The snare drum top and the snare drum bottom are also grouped and sent to channel 2 on the desk. So the bass drum's coming through channel 1, the snare drum's coming through channel 2, the toms are coming to 3 and 4. They're grouped in the DAW to a group and sent out to 3 and 4, and I can pan them as I want on the desk or in the DAW. Then I've got the overheads on 5 and 6. I've got the front pair of mics, which was kind of a mid-side pair, which is coming out of 7 and 8, and then the rooms are on 9 and 10. I'm going to leave 11 and 12 should I want to do some parallel compression, something like that. Let's see where we get to. Let's just play the drums. I'm going to turn the room up a bit. Let's just hear what they sound like from the top without any processing at all. This is what they sound like. Well, they sound great. Job done. See you in another video. Please comment, please subscribe. Oh no, actually, let's do some stuff with them. Right, so they do actually sound really good. That can't be denied, and I think that's down to A, the kit, B, the playing, C, the room, the choices of mics and the positioning, everything like that. I'm just going to do this on the Console 1. Just pull all of those drum channels down, and then let's listen to some bits one by one. I'm going to start with some of the more ambient mics. I want to listen to some of those. Let's listen to the overheads first. Let me take some low out of that. Front pair. That sounds really good. And the room. And the room is the room. Let's not worry about the room. Let's, that front pair. Let's try putting some low end on that. What EQs have I got in this? I've got the Core Vintage and the Core Modern. Let's go with the Core Vintage. Putting loads of bottom end on that. I'm going to give it a low cut around 40 hertz. That sounds really nice. Let's get a bass drum in with that. So I'm going to turn up the bass drum group and then feed in the first bass drum inside. All the weight's disappeared from it. Let's flip the phase. And it all comes back. What about the other bass drum? little bit woolly, would need some EQ. There's something to it. So that's a nice bass drum blend, I think, to start. Let's put some snares in. The top. The bottom. How's the phase at the top? That's pretty good. Let's turn up the toms. And the toms left and right. Let's get some overheads in. So that's all coming up on the desk here. What's on 910? Oh, that's the rooms. Not going to worry about the rooms for now. Okay, I think that's a good start. I've got the bass drum up on the first channel. I've got the snare drum on the second, pair of toms. I've got the overheads and I've got the front pair of mics, and they're coming out on the desk there. And I'm going to put in the master insert on that desk, which is going to introduce the UV-EQ, and it's also going to introduce the WesAudio, Dione, however you pronounce it. So let's have a listen. If I put that in, I'm just going to take these back, zero them out a bit, and I'm going to bypass that so we can have a listen. So that is working. So I'm just boosting the real low 30 and the real high 20K on the UV-EQ there. That's sounding really nice. A little bit of that out. Little bit of that out. I'm going to put the high pass filter in at 30 Hertz just to get rid of any unwanted real low end rumble, but I'm also boosting the 30 Hertz, so we're getting a kind of a push-pull effect off that. Okay, let's put the insert in on the bass drum. So by doing that, I've introduced the SSL EQ and the first B-Dynamic, which are not doing anything at the moment, but let's see. So you can see that slap immediately comes out when I turn that up. So let's boost some lows on that. Some compression on it. Oh. So the B-Dynamics is introducing a massive level jump. The makeup gain is not exactly accurate on that, but I got to say, I mean, the gate expander trick where it's just adding that extra bit of click in. I mean, even before it was compressing, that sounded great. And just tickling it with the compressor, that sounds really, really nice. So let's have a look at the snare drum, drop the insert in. This will be the E-EQ and the second B-Dynamic. So let's have a listen to that. A 4-to-1. So let's have a look at the toms. I've looped a bit of toms round and I'm going to put them through the Harrison EQs and the two E-Dynamics. So let's have a listen to them. Pull the E-Dynamics out for now. Reset the Harrisons. I've got the high pass filters. What I'm trying to do is boost really low and then balance it with the high pass filters. I'll take these thresholds right back, the ratios right back. Get a bit of compression going on these. Okay, so on the toms there, usual kind of smiley face stuff, but I've boosted a good 10 dB according to this anyway, a good 10 dB of low end, and then I've kind of offset that with a high pass filter tuned slightly higher on the lower tom, and I've tuned the frequency for the higher tom slightly higher on the shelf. The mids are fairly similar. I've got a little bit more out on the lower tom, and then both of them have got high boost that actually isn't that high, but it's just kind of raising the upper mids. So yeah, that's sounding quite nice for the toms. Let's have a listen through to where we're at. I think they're perfectly fine as they are. Okay, I think that is sounding really nice as a starting place. I'm now going to introduce the WesAudio compressor over the top of the lot. It's a bus compressor. I'm going to keep it fairly transparent, maybe a touch of saturation. Let's have a listen and see how this sounds. $150 sidechain high pass filter. Two to one ratio is fine. I liked it on auto. That's with a 10 millisecond attack. I like the 10 millisecond attack on that actually. Oh, that THD is nice and high. We're going to keep it on medium for now, but that high did sound nice. So I've ended up with auto release, an attack of 10 milliseconds. The threshold is set, so it's kind of doing somewhere kind of 4 or 5 dB of gain reduction. The mix is full wet. I've adjusted the makeup gain. I've got a sidechain filter at 150 Hertz and the ratio is 2 to 1, and I've got medium THD. Pull the overheads down a bit and the front pair up a bit. What if I wanted to put some rooms in it now? So on the console one, I'm going to get those rooms. I'm going to low and high cut. I'm going to make that a bit gentler. And that a bit gentler as well. Change the slopes. I'm going to try one of their compressors that's built into this. Let's see what it sounds like. So the compressor options here, I've got the Core FET and I've got the bus compressor. Let's try their FET. Really aggressive. Let's mix that in, see what that sounds like. without it. And with it. Oh, that is nice. So usually at this point, I would go on and start mixing other bits of the song. I wouldn't be getting bogged down in parallel drum bus compression, whether I want to use any digital reverbs or anything like that. But for the purposes of this video, because it is all about drums, I want to introduce my new IGS Tubecore compressor. It's a Verimue compressor, it's valve, it just sounds beautiful, and I'd love to hear, if I absolutely slam it, what it would sound like on a parallel drum bus. Let's mute all of the drums on the desk, and I'm going to send them all out just at Unity. I'm going to turn it all up, put all the first cues on. We're going to send out all of those drums, that is post fader as well, to Q1, and then this is our Q1 output, so I'm just leaving that at Unity, and I'm going to patch it in on the patch bay so that it goes out of Q1 into the IGS Tubecore and then back to stereo 11 and 12 on this desk. So let's do that patching now. So that's bypassed. We are getting that out of there. If I turn that down or turn it up, that cue is sending to the IGS Tubecore. Right, let me put it in stereo mode, and I'm going to give it a slamming. Okay, so on that, I've got the sidechain high pass filter at 60 Hertz. I've got the attack time at 0.3 milliseconds. I've got the release time at the fastest that it will do. I can't read that. I've not mixed any of the dry signal in because this is going to be running parallel, and I think you'll agree that's absolutely slamming it. Just sounds really, really squashed, but it's introduced so much character. And if I let a bit more attack through, or really tighten it up, a bit too much. Yeah, I like where I had it. So let's mix that underneath the rest of it. Where that compression has brought up the room so much, I'm just bringing them back because I love the feel of the compression. bit more bright on those toms. Final thing, I'm going to whack in the IGS 1LA over the snare drum after the B-Dynamics. So yeah, while I was trying out the IGS 1LA compressor on the snare, I noticed there was this kind of sort of ringing sound. And when I hunted it down, it's actually on the front pair, so I'm going to try and nip that out. Use the modern EQ on the Softube. There it is. Oh, that's nice, yeah. Now I can have some of that ring in there. That's without the IGS 1LA. And with it, it just does something I love to the snare. And I'm also going to use the desk EQ because that's more finely tuned. I'm going to use desk EQ on the snare. Just to brighten it, a very broad stroke brighten on it. You'll take a little bit of the overhead out of the parallel bus. Final thing, I'm going to select the toms group, and on the console 1 controller there's a function called punch, which might give us some nice punch to the toms. So let's see if it does that, if I put in a bit of punch. Yeah, that's nice. Just a little bit of punch on there. A bit more EQ on that front group. Do a low pass on that, on the front group. Then turn it up a bit. Let's have a final playthrough of the drums, where we're at the moment. So there we go. I think that's enough for this video, but I've checked out my SSL EQs going into the B-Dynamics. I've also put the IGS 1LA on the snare drum. I've got the 2 Harrison EQs with the E-Dynamics on the toms. I've done some punch on the toms in the console 1 channel there. I've been mixing using the faders on here as well as the desk. I've got my overheads, which have been massively high passed, And I've got the front pair, which I've done some EQ on. We put loads and loads of compression in the Console 1 plugin on the room mics and took a lot of the bottom off, took a lot of the top off, and that made quite a nice reverb for the whole thing, really squashed it with the compressor. And then we did some parallel compression using the IGS Tubecore compressor, brought that out into 11 and 12, sent that out via the Q at the top. I took a little bit of the room and a little bit of the overheads out, the unity gain, so there's a bit of less of that going to the parallel compressor there. And then the insert point on the drums goes to the UV-EQ, where I've done a bit of a smiley face where I'm turning up the bottom and the top, but I'm also high passing at 30 Hertz. I've taken out probably about 450, 500 Hertz, and I've taken out a tiny bit of 2 and a bit K out of the whole drum mix. That finally goes to this WesAudio compressor, which sounds absolutely fantastic and kind of glues it all together without sounding too trashy. Now, in reality, I wouldn't have added the parallel drum compression straight away. I would have started to put other stuff in. The chances are I've gone a little bit overboard on certain things, which kind of happens when you're trying stuff out. I would have moved on to other bits of the song. But I think for the purposes of this video, we've heard all the bits of equipment, heard what they could do, and I'm really happy with all of it so far. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought sounded great. Let me know what you think didn't sound great. Have a go at me for putting too much compression on it, and also have a go at me for not putting enough compression on it. Yeah, leave me a comment. Please subscribe. Please like all that stuff. See you in another video. Goodbye.